everyone, and welcome to another brand new episode of the
Geek
Buddies.
Hey! We're back at it again with another fun episode talking about all the things going on in the world of geekdom. We're going to talk about Shang-Chi trailer. That's going to be our main topic. Then we're going to get into Shang-Chi. Sorry. I don't want to get in trouble with anybody. Shang-Chi trailer. And we're going to get into that as our main topic for sure. We got other things we're going to cover here on the show. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, writer and producer host here on the Outlaw Nation. And in the middle there,
I am Michael Vogel. I am a writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies.
And on the end?
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor where you may have seen me on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Silicon Valley, and Modern Family.
And a raptor handler. All of this is happening. You're back in the park, buddy boy. How you feeling?
Yeah. Oh, I've got a farmer's tan because I roll my sleeves up. And so I've got these very tan arms and the rest of me is alabaster white right now.
Wow.
So it's very fetching looking.
Yeah, I like the little 1980s.
You'll always be my clever girl.
Hey, there it is. All right, for those of you who are returning, thank you so much for staying on the Geek Buddies train. We really appreciate it. For those of you taking a chance on us for the first time, thank you so much. The way the show works is each of us presents a geek news item. We talk about it amongst ourselves, and we take a little bit of a mini break and then jump into our main topic. And as I mentioned, it is breaking down the trailer and discussing Shang-Chi. So it's going to be a lot of fun to get into it for sure. But let's start off, Mike. I think you have the first thing. What do we got?
I think I do. The Legend of Shang-Chi was not the only big Marvel news this week. We've had some big news in the world of the Disney Plus series that are coming, particularly the upcoming Secret Invasion series. We have found out that both two queens, both Olivia Colman and Emilia Clarke, have both been revealed, one by Hollywood Reporter and one by Variety, to be joining the cast of Secret Invasion. And for those of you that don't know, Secret Invasion is upcoming on Disney Plus. It is going to follow both Nick Fury and the Skrull Talos, played by
Ben Mendelsohn.
Thank you, Ben Mendelsohn, who we first met in Captain Marvel, as they deal with and attempt to stop a faction of shape-shifting Skrulls who have been infiltrating Earth for years. So we know Sam Jackson is reprising his role as Nick Fury. As we just said, Ben Mendelsohn is reprising his role as Talos. Kingsley Ben-Adir has been cast as a villain, although we don't really know who he is yet. And then, as I said, both Emilia Clarke and Olivia Colman are coming in. So for those that don't know, Secret Invasion was a big Marvel crossover series back in about 2008, I believe, that dealt with a bunch of Skrulls kind of replacing a good number of Earth superheroes and kind of infiltrating the Avengers, infiltrating the Earth superheroes. Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman, was one of the key characters in this crossover series. And it dealt with a bunch of Skrull shape-shifting craziness. So not sure if the Skrulls in this outing are going to be replacing all of the superheroes or not, but there's definitely going to be a lot of shape-shifting craziness going on. In an interview with Collider, Kevin Feige had said that they're interested in the political paranoia aspect of Secret Invasion and showcasing that with Sam Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn. I literally can't say his name today. So not really a lot of information about what it is, but what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think of Olivia Colman and Emilia Clarke? Are you excited for Secret Invasion? What are your thoughts?
Shit.
I mean, in terms of the cast, I mean, it's super impressive that they've got 5 pretty big heavy hitters right now. You know, Kingsley Ben-Adir coming off of the success of One Night in Miami, Olivia Colman, who, you know, is an Academy Award winner, Emilia Clarke, who we all know as Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. This is a huge story and also a huge cast. I mean, I think when they first announced these series back during that Disney Investor Day, I think people were probably a little surprised that they chose to put something of this scope in terms of the story size on Disney Plus. Kevin Feige had said right now, at least, that the half hour programs would be around 10 episodes and the 1 hours would be about 6 episodes. And so to think that they're going to squeeze this epic story into six one hour episodes, that's a pretty grand undertaking. But in terms of just them adding Olivia Colman and Emilia Clarke, like I know some people have had issue with Emilia Clarke looking at her work as Sarah Connor in Terminator Genesis. It was like, that's kind of unfair to hold someone, one performer accountable for that movie. I like Emilia Clarke. I think you look at her in that Christmas movie that she did with Henry Golding that used all the music of George Michael. That is escaping me right now.
Last Christmas,
yes. I mean,
that George Michael song.
There you go. Okay, I hit all the beats.
It was a big hit for Wham in the 80s, guy. Yeah.
I think Emilia Clarke is charming, and I think Olivia Colman is just awesome. I just watched The Father that she was in with Anthony Hopkins, and she's dynamite. And so just the fact that they're kind of stacking the deck here in terms of the cast, I'm super looking forward to it, and I'm super curious as to how they're going to adapt this enormous story for Disney Plus.
Yeah, I mean, I think I echo a lot of what you said, Shannon, but also I think what you've got to look at here is they clearly want to bring out the big guns for this particular series. Yes, we had Elizabeth Olsen, we had Paul Bettany, we've got Sebastian Stan, we've got Tom Hiddleston. Of course, we have Anthony Mackie with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then like I said, we've got Tom Hiddleston for Loki and Owen Wilson. But now you're bringing in an Oscar winner, a recent Oscar winner. You're bringing a 4-time Emmy-nominated actress in Emilia Clarke. You've got Sam Jackson. You've got Ben Mendelsohn, who brings a certain level of credentials in terms of awards and consideration for these things. So clearly, they're bringing out the big guns because Secret Invasion, they want it to be a very, very important series in this next Phase 4. Yes, all the other series are important, but this one, I think they want to have a certain level of prestige with this one, a certain level of approach that will launch a lot of the storylines, or at least some of the storylines, into the main films that we're going to be getting through this phase. And I think it's exciting. I love it. And we've seen that Olivia Colman can play status up and down the meter. And so we wonder what she's going to play. You wonder where Emilia Clarke's going to fit. Certainly she was badass in a number of episodes as Daenerys Targaryen. But what's important here to remember is, yes, the film work, as Shannon mentioned, maybe hasn't gotten the notoriety that rivals what she was receiving in Game of Thrones. But this is the medium where she operates best, clearly. And it feels like this is Disney Plus's move towards, or getting closer towards, being like an HBO type level of programmer where they're bringing these kinds of prestigious shows to the screen. So I'm excited about this, and I can't wait to see it. And I don't think we're done with the story at the end of that series, to be honest with you. I think this is just the beginning.
Do you guys have any guesses on who either of them might be playing?
I know the big money is on. One of them will be Queen Veronki, who is the Skrull Queen, and then people are also speculating that maybe Emilia Clarke could be Abigail Brand, who is the head of S.W.O.R.D.
Right.
Yeah, right. I know when we all were fooled by WandaVision with Monica's friend, the astrophysicist, Abigail Brand came up there as well. But yeah, I think look, Abigail Brand is currently in the current Sword series that is happening in Marvel Comics. That's tied to the X-Men universe. She's a great character. Definitely, if you look at Abigail Brand, green hair aside, Emilia Clarke could definitely fit into that role. And yeah, Olivia Colman, to everything that Rocha said about her playing status and everything she can do, playing the Skrull Queen might not be out of the realm. So I think those are actually, we all like to conjecture and guess, and a lot of times people aren't playing anybody that we thought they were going to be playing. But I think in these two cases, those are actually some pretty solid guesses. No, go ahead.
I'm just going to throw it around, Mike, if you want, just throwing it back to you guys a little bit. What's going to happen? Because all of us have read Secret Invasion, and it's very focused on the Skrulls being the bad guys or bad women in this situation. But now, since the Skrulls have been presented in a way that they're friends to the superheroes, it's a more of a positive interaction, and the Kree are the bad guys. Are the Kree going to steal some form of this shape-shifting technology? Is this going to be a Skrull group that doesn't want anything to do with the interaction with the superheroes, actually wants to undermine this relationship? I have so many questions. And with our politically fraught times and our minds being more wide open to splinter cells within organizations, it seems to be the right. It seems to be an interesting path they could take if they wanted to go this route, and one that's believable and topical for what's going on in our world. What do you guys think?
I mean, my guess is that it will, as Vogel said in the little blurb at the beginning. I'm assuming it will be a group of Skrulls who may not necessarily see Talos' way. That within this alien culture that there's more than one point of view, and that they see Earth as a potential new home, since the Kree have kind of chased them all over the universe. That's kind of my guess, but I certainly think I was thinking about that. I'm like, could the Kree invade? I mean, is that the angle they would take? I mean, the Kree can't really hide the way the Skrulls can, but
right.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I think it will be Skrulls. Okay. I believe leading up to Secret Invasion, I don't remember this exactly right, but Queen Varanki, the Skrull Queen, she was the leader of a religious sect or someone that was going against whoever was the leader of the Skrulls at that time, and kind of got put in prison, and then subsequently became queen and started her invasion on Earth, the Secret Invasion on Earth. But this character, maybe she is part of some separate sect of Skrulls, or is what Talos is doing and what he and his Skrulls are doing and working with Nick Fury not simpatico with what the bigger Skrull Empire wants to be happening. So I think between Secret Invasion and Captain Marvel 2, we're going to get to know a lot more about the Skrulls. I think this is an opportunity for us to learn more about that part of the universe. We've gotten a lot of Kree in both the Guardians of the Galaxy universe and obviously in Captain Marvel. But I think that we'll get to know more about the Skrull and the Kree and their relationship, and that will probably tie into stuff. I also think, given what Feige said in that Collider interview, I do think, kind of to Johnny, to your point, that they're going to lean into the fact that we live in a world right now where there's lots of fake news. People on both sides think the other side's not telling the truth. Like, we live in a time where nobody trusts anything that's happening. That's, I just finished watching the QAnon documentary on HBO Max. Like, there's a reason that took off. Like, we're at a time where people aren't very trusting of the government and aren't really trusting of what they're reading on the internet, and think that there's a lot of stuff that's out there that's being hidden. So kind of leaning into that with the Skrulls and using that to tell a story of intrigue. We already know from Spider-Man Far From Home that we already have Skrulls that were impersonating people, because we had Nick Fury and Maria Hill being impersonated per Nick Fury's orders. So I think, like, using that as the jumping off point, it'll allow us to sort of dive into what this post Shield, post Blip, post everything world is, and how the Skrulls are involved.
I just hope people are ready, because this is going to get expansive. And although, keeping track of 25 superheroes on Earth was something that I remember a few years ago, people were like, I don't know how they're going to pull this off. Now we're going out into the galaxy, and we're going to have ourselves Young Avengers. We're going to have ourselves stuff with WandaVision and Paul Bettany. And is there a West Coast Avengers situation? What's going on with Wanda? Now we got Loki jumping in and out of dimensions. We've got Spider-Man, possibly multiverses. I hope people are ready. I think they're taking a bold chance here, Feige, to really push the limits of how much people are able to keep track of all this stuff. And we'll see how this all turns out. I'm excited for it, obviously, because I've been trained since a kid to watch and monitor multiple storylines in comics. I'm just wondering how this is all going to play out and how many people are going to really be able to keep track of all this stuff. It's exciting. Anything else? Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
I was just stuck on an image of, like, little baby John Rocha, like, just sitting eating cereal in front of, like, 12 television sets, just like watching everything at once.
12 comic books open at the same time. Wait. How did you were like Charlie Day? It all makes sense. Yeah, go ahead.
You were like Wanda at the end of WandaVision, just like floating with comic books laid out in front of you,
with the Rocky music playing in the background.
You guys know, like Secret Wars, you have to buy 40 titles that you wouldn't normally buy just to keep track of all that stuff. It's madness. Yeah, but
didn't it always make you mad? I mean, just total comic book sidebar here, but how, like, whenever there was these big, like, Secret Invasion, like House of M, like whatever, you would have, like, the mainline comic, which was like 6 or 7 issues long, which was the main storyline. Right. But then you would have all the offshoots, and if you were nerds like we were, you would go buy all the offshoots. Yeah. But, like, half those offshoots were so shitty. They were shitty artwork.
Yeah.
like shitty artwork or like a bad story, and you're like, this was clearly like the C or the D team, and like I'm a completionist, so I want to read everything, but that was like so bad, but like ugh. But then you would go back to the main line one, and you'd be like, yeah, this is good, right. And then you're like, you'd get, I would leave the comic book store, and you'd look at your like, you'd look at your like House of M stack, and you'd be like, fuck, I don't want to read all these, but you do it.
It's one of the reasons I never finished all of Civil War, because it went into so many. I'm like, I can't afford all this at the time. I whatever. Just tell me what the story is. And most of the times, at least back then, now I think with Civil War you had to buy all those, but back then you're absolutely right, Mike. And then they would do a synopsis of the episode of the issue that, in case you didn't buy it, that really encapsulated all you needed anyway. So it was funny how that they got your money and they got the storyline pushed forward.
Well, and depending on where you were in sort of your comics journey, when you had one of these miniseries that went to different titles, some of those titles you could get at a supermarket. Like you could get Batman. True. If you had the next issue, and I'm thinking specifically of A Lonely Place of Dying, the next issue was in the New Titans. They didn't sell that at your supermarket. Like you had to go to a comic book store. And so when you're reading a comic and the next issue of Batman, suddenly all this other stuff has happened. It's like, wait. What does that mean? Right. I talked about this several months ago, but I didn't get the second issue of A Lonely Place of Dying until about a year ago, thanks to our geek buddy Mike Fox, who heard me talking about it on one of our episodes and found it and sent it to me.
I did. I mean, but to that point, I am guilty of exactly what they want to do with these big crossovers. Like I just recently went back to go reread the Empire big crossover series in Marvel, which is about Hulkling and Wiccan, and actually about the Kree and the Skrulls and their alliance. But I did the exact same thing. I hadn't been reading comics for a while. I was like, I want to check out Empire. Like, what's happening with Hulkling and Wiccan? It was like WandaVision was happening. I was into Wiccan, and I started reading it, and it was like, oh, I got to read this issue of Fantastic Four. Okay. I got to read this issue of like of X-Men. Yeah, okay, cool. I have now read the past year of all of Fantastic Four and all of X-Men. Because I did exactly what they want you to do. Is I dove in and I'm like, well, okay, I'll just read a couple more. So you got me, Marvel.
Yeah, did. Yeah. It's the only times I ever read Cloak and Dagger was when they were connected to the overall storyline, just because it was out of my age range for me, at least at the time. And there were some other ones too, I'm sure. All right. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. Certainly, that's coming up soon. There'll be some announcements for sure, and we've got the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale happening this week. We still haven't discussed if we're going to be doing it live. I would like to, but we'll have to figure out a time. We'll see. Michael, any thoughts on that?
I'm good. I'm down to do it live. I'm on board. I'm not the holdup here. Right. Pour my whiskey and go all in.
Oh yeah, I think drinking is definitely on tap for that finale review live. I agree with that 1,000%. I got a feeling there's gonna be a lot to talk about. All right, Shannon, where do we go next?
Yeah, speaking of multiverses, as of Monday, the long in development Flash movie finally began filming in London. Director Andy Muschietti. Did I say that right, John?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Okay. Andy Muschietti posted a motion graphic on his Instagram of the Flash logo with the lightning. The Flash film has had a long road to finally going before cameras. You know, in 2014, it was announced that Ezra Miller was going to be playing the Flash. Originally, his movie was supposed to come out in 2018. Seth Grahame-Smith of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter fame, he was attached to direct. Then it went to Rick Famuyiwa, and then it went to Goldstein and Daly, and now it has finally started filming. And Michael Keaton has been confirmed as coming back as Batman. So, you know, we heard not too long ago, just a couple of weeks, Michael Keaton was kind of waffling on whether or not he was going to do it. He talked about the risks of traveling during COVID. He also said that he hadn't seen the most recent script. It seems like that might have been a little bit of negotiating in the press to get some of the things that he wanted. But the Flash movie is happening. Like, Ron Livingston has replaced Billy Crudup as the Flash's father. It is happening. Oh my gosh, guys, what do you think? We're finally going to see Barry Allen on the big screen in his own film.
Mike?
I go into this arms wide open. We'll see what we get. It's funny, as we were just talking about with Secret Invasion, and I know that I'm like I actually love DC. I've been catching up on my DC comics too, but I know that when it comes to the movies, I tend to be more pro Marvel. But that really is because of what we were just talking about with Secret Invasion, which is Marvel has earned a level of trust that when they're going to try and tackle a big story, even if they're going to do it on TV, like with Secret Invasion, at this point, we're kind of like, look, you've proven that you've got a track record here. You've got a game plan. I'm super excited that DC is opening the multiverse as well. I am super excited that Michael Keaton is putting the cape on again. That's probably the thing that I'm most excited. So I'm very happy that he's confirmed. Despite the Ezra Miller issues in real life, I think he's a good Flash. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed him even more in the 4-Hour Justice League. So there's a lot this movie has going for it. This is kind of the first movie that has gone into production. Obviously, Suicide Squad we'll see earlier than this, but like the first movie that's gone into production in the post 4-hour Zack Snyder Justice League era, where Warner Brothers has very clearly and very emphatically said, this is done. This is where we're going. And by opening the multiverse, the Flash movie more than any other movie seems to be the way that is going to lay the groundwork for where DC is going to be going moving forward. So I'm very, very curious to hear more about it, to see more about it, and I'm open. It could be great.
Yeah. Look,
we'll see.
I like the idea of it happening. I don't like the idea of them still not addressing the Ezra Miller situation, especially on the heels of the Ray Fisher situation, how that played out in the press, and even after the 4-hour Zack Snyder cut was dropped, and even after all these announcements were made. Even Ray Fisher tweeted something, I think yesterday or 2 days ago and retweeting Andy Muschietti's tweet saying, oh yeah, but what about this? Why aren't we addressing this? When are we going to announce this? And so clearly this issue is not going away on the Ray Fisher side of things. And I'm a little surprised they haven't said anything about the Ezra Miller video and him like picking that girl up and putting her down by her neck. Now we know the account was taken down. We know the video is tough to find. I guess you can find it on YouTube, but they haven't said a word. And I'm just curious by that decision to not say a word about this and then crow about diversity and crow about all the things that you're doing, which I think is great. I'm not going to take that away from Warner Brothers, but you've got to address this situation, I feel like, because it kind of dampens a lot of the fans that I've spoken to. It dampens some of their anticipation for this movie because we're getting so much. As you mentioned, Michael Keaton finally, after playing us a little bit for suckers, he has signed on and he's going to do this thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see him put on the suit again, see what role he's going to play up. It's going to be great to see what Ron Livingston does in the place of Billy Crudup. I'm excited about all of this. And yes, watching that 4-hour Snyder cut, Mike, you're absolutely right. I really enjoy Ezra Miller as the Flash. There's a charm to him. There's a cuteness to him, the desire to connect to this guy and want him to do well in the role and want him to be a good Barry Allen. But in the end, I just feel like there's just that little bit of thing on the side here that they need to address. That being said, after numerous directors, numerous false starts, when this was going to go in the pile with Gambit, it's actually happening. So that's a positive overall for sure. But, you just want them to address this at some point.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's clear at this point that Warner Brothers is of the opinion that they don't need to address it. And I think when you look at... Again, this is just all conjecture on my part, having worked at a studio, but I know nothing about any of these situations specifically. But when you look at how they handled the Ray Fisher of it all, kind of coming out and saying, we did nothing wrong, no choices were made based on race. And as we said when we discussed the Ray Fisher stuff, that by the letter of the law is probably true. It sidesteps a lot of systemic issues, but they're probably legally... they've sat down with all their Warner Brothers lawyers and said, legally, this is the way that you can say this, and that is legally sound. And I think that whatever investigation they did into this Ezra Miller situation, what happened with this video, whatever happened and whatever they found out, they deemed within the realms of like, we don't have to address this and it will go away because there's not enough here for a legal issue. I mean, it does seem to me that Warner Brothers kind of breaks it down to that level. And they're just hoping that from a PR standpoint, the excitement of DC and the excitement of this stuff moving forward and the excitement of Michael Keaton just kind of obfuscates all that.
Yeah.
Now, and this has little to do with the story of the movie starting production, but an account like that vanishes. The video vanishes. I mean, you can find it out. It's not hard to find. Right. But does Warner Brothers, is it because do you think that account is taken down because maybe those people were not operating in good faith, or has Warner Brothers thrown a lot of money at this?
But that's the thing. We don't know. Without Warner Brothers saying anything, we don't know. And I think we're left to speculate. And the worst or more cynical parts of people's fandom come out in those moments. And it's not like DC has earned a clean slate, in these situations. So there's a little bit, or Warner Brothers, there's a little bit of that kind of cynicism around it. So you have to wonder what happened here. But it's just quizzical, or as Casey Kasem once said, it's ponderous, man. It's effing ponderous that they won't address this straight on and just push it, just go, we did our investigation like they did with Ray Fisher. We found nothing wrong. We're moving on. Why? Just a statement and we can move on. But that Michael might be right. Maybe they feel oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
What does your gut tell you?
I don't want to say. I can be bold and I can be opinionated, but even I have limits to the things I want to say in certain moments. All I'll say is this. I think Michael's right. I think they did internal polling and did some own surveys, and they realized that maybe most of the fandom doesn't care. They just want to see this movie. And so you got to respect that if that's the way you want to go. You may not like it, but it's the way they're choosing to go about this thing,
I will say, and you never know, and I don't know Ezra Miller in person, and I don't know what his life is like, but much like the Johnny Depp of it all, right. sometimes you back a horse, and that horse continues to go down a road, and eventually you decide you can't back. Like, I think that had Warner Brothers jumped off the Johnny Depp plane when everybody expected them to the first time, right, it probably would have looked better than eventually sort of being like, okay, well, now we're going to get off. I think that like sometimes you got to make a choice, and it seems like Warner Brothers likes to not make a choice until their hand is forced.
Right. But even now, with all this other evidence coming out to counter some of the Johnny Depp claims that have come out recently over the last few weeks, you wonder if they backed the right horse, if they shouldn't have even picked a side. So it's a messy situation in that situation. But the Ezra thing, I think, is a little more something that they could get in front of. But you're right, Mike. Maybe they just wait till they're forced to make a reaction to this. So we shall see. But either way, it's happening. And I think that's positive.
And The Flash will be coming out. What a way to end this part. The Flash will be coming out as of right now, November 4th, 2022.
I actually do have another question about it. Given the way that Warner Brothers is trying to really put an end to to say we've completed the Zack Snyder trilogy, as they're calling it. Do you think we see Ben Affleck in Flash, or do we just leave it behind?
I hope so. I really would like to. He was great in the 4-hour cut. It was nice to get a taste of Ben with more to do. So yeah, it would excite. Yeah, a nightmare sequence, you can put that aside, but everything else I thought was great. So to see it happen would be interesting, but I highly doubt it, because that's a way of them kind of going, well, maybe we will explore the Snyderverse when it's convenient. And that seems like you're playing both sides of the fence. I think fans would get even more mad about that.
I don't know if that announcement was ever official, but I mean, that was the thinking, was that Ben Affleck was not only going to be in the movie, but play not an insignificant role, that like his role was actually going to be fairly prominent. So again, he was not a part of that announcement on Monday, I don't believe. I mean, it was day one, Michael Keaton's back. But we'll see.
It's a shame. It's better storytelling that he's involved in it.
Yeah,
Zack Snyder stuff aside, given the movies that we've gotten, whether I like the movies or don't like the movies is sort of immaterial. Given the world that has been created thus far, having and given the relationship between Bruce and Barry as established in both versions of Justice League, it is better storytelling to have Ben Affleck in this movie and have the relationship between this Batman and Barry be the handoff to this other relationship with this other Batman and Barry is better storytelling. So I actually hope they do it, But Warner Brothers and DC being Warner Brothers and DC, it seems more in their line of thinking to not. So we'll see.
It's an incredible tightrope they're walking, isn't it? I know we got to get to the next thing, but it's an incredible tightrope they're walking here. They're like, we'll take all the actors that you cast as these characters, Zack Snyder, and we're just going to put it into a new universe without you in it. And it just, I don't know, it's just going to give the Snyder fans even more power and the ability and the desire to be vocal that they're still using the same actors that Zack Snyder cast and into their new universe of DC, but without him. And I think that's a dangerous tightrope they're walking above a bunch of flames, in my opinion.
I think it's less of an issue of that, because I mean, there's plenty of times that some director cast certain people in a role and other directors have come in to take that universe and carry it on. Like, I don't think that Zack Snyder has any kind of ownership over these characters, despite the fact that he chose, the actors who portrayed them. But right. I do think that even I'll give you an example. Iron Man 2, Thor 2. The Marvel movies that we think are not like when we all make our list of our order of favorite Marvel movies from top to bottom, the Marvel movies that are usually on the bottom. Kevin Feige and the Marvel machine still use them as canon. They still happen. They still are part of this bigger story. Like when you go back through and you want to watch all the Marvel movies to get the full story, there's a couple stinkers that you're going to have to sit through to get the full story. And I think that not saying that the Zack Snyder movies are all stinkers on the level of some of the Marvel movies that are not as good, but I'm saying that a DC has a tendency to want to say, okay, well, this didn't work, so forget it. Let's do the new shiny object. And that's why they are so far behind, as opposed to saying these movies all happened. Mm-hmm. And the actors that we're keeping, we're going to keep. And the actors that are not going to stay around are not going to stay around. And Flashpoint as a story allows you to sort of reshuffle your deck. Yeah, true. And so it's an opportunity for them to sort of take everything that's happened so far, make sense of it, and still set a new path for themselves. Right. But I just don't know that the Warner Brothers executives fully have their heads wrapped around that the way that Marvel and Disney do. I hope they do, because I would love for that to be a thing, but I feel like we're going to get a little, which I also think kind of pays respect to what Zack Snyder did, to your point, to kind of say, look, this all happened. I feel like if they kind of go down a road of saying, well, let's forget those, here's the stuff to focus, it makes the fact that they're keeping half the cast that did appear in those movies seem a little bit more to me, personally. But that's just my storytelling aesthetic.
Yeah, and I think depending on how James Gunn's Suicide Squad connects to its predecessor, if it connects to its predecessor, it seems like it's going to tangentially. How much outside of Wonder Woman have they really retconned thus far in the DC movies? I mean, they've kind of changed Diana's point of view a little bit. I mean, Wonder Woman 84 really kind of did that. But it doesn't seem like they've really changed a lot. And Flashpoint will the Flash has the opportunity to reset everything.
But they haven't had an opportunity to see what they can and can't change, because the Cyborg movie never happened. Henry Cavill's there was never a Man of Steel 2. We haven't had the opportunity to see what's been retconned yet, but that will happen. We will be seeing it as these, like Aquaman 2. I'll be very curious how that plays out too on the heels of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Sorry, Mike, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, I think that they've aside from Joker being in its own universe and knowing that the upcoming Batman movies are in their own universe. So we know that there's a wall there. I think that they have sort of just played the middle ground. They're not saying that Aquaman and Shazam and Wonder Woman all are in the same universe, but they're also not saying that they're not. Right. And since they are all in, so it'll be interesting to see what Flashpoint does to that end. I mean, that's really because I know we'll get a bunch of comments in the book oh, well, there was the Batarang in the Shazam and Superman showed up at the end and they said this and these two were in this movie. Yeah, that's all true. But it's just the fact that we're not 100% clear, and Warner Brothers hasn't been clear in that messaging that we're bringing up, and that I hope that with Flashpoint moving forward, we get a firmer answer from them.
Yeah. And if they can wreck on a whole storyline, they can certainly have you forget little moments they throw in as fun little winks and nods to the fans. So
Right.
like the Batarang or the symbol or the Superman symbol for sure. All right. Are we moving off to the next thing? November 4th. That's happening, right? Well, we love to talk about this stuff. It's why we do this. And let's move on to something a little bit lighter fare. Ted Lasso season 2, the new trailer dropped. Shannon McClung, who had been doing the reviews with me on my channel, we did a trailer reaction that is on the Outlaw Nation channel now. You can watch. We had a little fun doing that. I had to explain it.
I want some clarity here. I didn't watch
the lead before. Yeah, but go ahead. Yes.
What were you confused about a trailer reaction?
Okay. Oh yeah. So I was afraid he was going to bury the lead. Shannon apparently didn't understand what a trailer reaction video was, had watched the trailer ahead of time. I don't fault him. He's a student. He likes to do his homework. I respect it. But he had to watch the trailer. He had to watch me react to the trailer for the first time through the trailer. So very unique trailer reaction for sure. Shannon, Michael's question stands. What's your answer to that?
I guess when I saw trailer reaction, I didn't realize that you and I thought the little bit that we were going to talk about was our reactions to the trailer. I didn't realize that we were going to watch it for the first time. It actually did cross my mind. I'm like, I wonder if, are we going to watch this for the first time? And not being the good student, I didn't ask. I was like, I'm sure that's not it. I'm probably right. Let me watch this and then bring up what happens in the first 30 seconds of our conversation.
Yeah. I had to stop him. It was hilarious. I was like, oh, and I noticed. And by the way, I didn't know. And while we were doing it, I'm like, oh, so we watched the trailer. All right, well, let's think on the fly and see how we make this work. I love it. But either way, the point is that Ted Lasso season 2 is coming. It's exciting. Apple had this big event where they announced the new iMac. I think a new MacBook Pro, certainly a new Apple TV. So for those who've been waiting for a new Apple TV version of it, it is coming, I think, in mid-May, and they'll start taking orders at the end of April. I want to get an Apple TV and see what that experience is like compared to Roku. So I will be looking forward towards that. But Ted,
better.
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I hear the remote control this time is better too, which a lot of people complained about. So, but yeah, Ted Lasso is back. AFC Richmond back in play. Remember at the end of last season, they were relegated. So they're in the lower division, trying to work their way back up to the upper division. Ted Lasso and the owner repaired their relationship throughout the season. Juno Temple and Brett Goldstein had their relationship confirmed by the end of the season. So we're going to see more of that. And they're bringing in a sports psychologist to be a part of this as well. So that's going to be fascinating to see what wrinkle she brings in. Her name is Sarah Niles. And they're focusing more on Danny Rojas and Sam, their black striker from last season. And someone pointed out this to me. I didn't know this. Someone pointed this out to me that there were some complaints in the back from British fans about how the dearth of black characters that were in the forefront of the series last season. They seem to now be addressing that by bringing in Sarah Niles, a black actress there to play the psychologist and making Sam more of a central part of the team. So this will be curious, and I'm excited because everybody loves that first season. Certainly Shannon and I were on board soon after it dropped, and I'm sure, Michael, you've watched it too. Now I'm curious to see, can they keep the magic going? What did you guys think of the trailer?
I thought the trailer was great. I mean, again, we discussed this.
Shannon, what is your trailer reaction, you might say?
I love it.
I really liked it. I also think that because they started shooting that second season before the gigantic wave of support really hit, I think whatever the second season is going to be, I do think it's not going to be, there's not going to be a whole lot of fan service. I think they're going to tell the story that they wanted to tell, just because they were kind of not making it in a vacuum, but they didn't have all the they maybe didn't have the expectations that would normally come along with a really well-received first season, because everyone kind of caught on to it later. I thought it was great. I can't wait to see these characters again. I mean, between Sam and Danny Rojas, I adore the Richmond team. Anytime I see that town, when I've rewatched the first season, I'm like, that seems lovely. That's like where you want to retire. That just seems idyllic.
So true.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
All right. What did you think there, Mike?
I'm just so excited. I didn't watch. I was one of those guys that everyone kept saying, "Have you watched Ted Lasso? You got to watch it. It's so feel good. You're gonna love it. Best show of the year." And I'm like, all right. I'm busy. I got a lot to do. And then finally sat down and watched it and tore through it in like 2 days.
Yeah.
It is easily, if you have not watched Ted Lasso, go watch it right now. It is easily one of the best shows of the year. Like easily top 5 for sure. Just so good. Like it's so well done, it's so well made, and it just makes you feel great about everything. And that's during a fucking pandemic, which is a really, really good trick. I'm super excited. I'm really curious about. Did you say her name is Sarah Niles, the woman who's coming in to play? Yes. I'm really curious about the sports psychiatrist who's coming in, because I'm interested to see what are the new obstacles for Ted. Ted did such a great job just barreling through every obstacle of his first season in the most lovely, adorable, cookie-giving way that he has, and so. Watching these new challenges that are going to come up for him, I think is going to be really interesting. Kind of to you guys' point of, can they recapture the magic? Can they keep the show being what it was and put new things in front of Ted and the team so that we still feel like there's somewhere for the show to go, while still giving us what we expected from season 1. I do think Shannon's right. I think that a lot of times when you know that your show is popular, when you know you have fans, when you know you have a lot of expectation, it's harder to stay focused on what you were doing in the first place and what your goals were. And the fact that they dove into season 2 before Ted Lasso really hit, actually, I think Shannon's 100% right. I think that kind of bodes well for what we're going to get in season 2.
Yeah, they got a lot to live up to. They won everything they were nominated for in the Critics' Choice Awards. Jason Sudeikis won a Golden Globe Award and a SAG Award for the work he did on the show. Pretty surprising, and it's a good thing for Apple TV Plus. You know, I said this on the trailer reaction. I'll say it again for people who maybe haven't watched it yet. It's a pretty incredible thing that they announced this show at the Apple TV event. That tells Apple TV Plus or Apple Plus event. That tells you they've got a lot. They have a lot on this show, and they believe in this show now more than ever, because they've had, like, Chris Evans was on that other show, Jason Momoa was on one of their shows, but in Morning Glory with Steve Carell and Jennifer Aniston. But this is the one that they chose to kind of like coincide with their event. That says volumes about how much they love this show. And we'll see what happens. It's coming July 23rd. We'll be reviewing it for sure on the channel. It'll be a lot of fun. And maybe Michael will join us for those reviews, and we'll have a little fun talking about them for sure.
I'll bring cookies.
Biscuits. Uh-oh. They're called biscuits.
Not here, they're not, Shannon. Not here, they're not.
Also, one last thing, Michael, you bring up an excellent point, because I think Sarah is going to be a bit of an obstacle for Ted, because right off the bat, she says, I don't do sugar. I don't do sweet. Ted Lasso is sweet. Is she going to reject some of Ted Lasso's tactics versus some of her psychology tactics? This is going to be a lot of fun to see how he navigates the new conflicts for sure. Another part of this is Downton Abbey, ladies and gentlemen. Downton Abbey 2. It is coming. I could not express how excited I am for this. I was worried that that the box office for this would deter it from coming back, but it has not. I remember seeing this in London on a trip to cover a thing when I was at Collider, and I got a chance to watch this thing in London. So there was a certain kind of special feeling to that as well. But they are coming back here. It's going to release this year, ladies and gentlemen. They started shooting last week, and they're dropping on December 22nd, 2021. That must be a fast shoot and a fast post-production. Pretty surprising on so many levels. This will see everybody coming back. They're also adding Hugh Dancy, who some of you may remember from Hannibal, Laura Haddock from Guardians of the Galaxy, Natalie Bay, and Dominic West from The Wire and 300, and numerous other things that you might have seen him in. Downton creator Julian Fellows will write the film screenplay again, with Emmy and BAFTA winner Naomi and Emmy award-winning Liz Trubridge back to produce, and Simon Curtis, who did My Week with Marilyn, which led to a Michelle Williams Oscar nomination, will direct the sequel. So this is exciting stuff overall. I don't think they've said too much about what the plot is going to be, but are you too excited, or at least pleasantly or mildly happy that a Downton Abbey sequel is coming here to the big screen?
I watched a little bit of the first season. I could recognize the care and the love and the craft that was put into it. It was not my show. I dozed off a lot. That's no reflection on the quality of the show. It's just those accents were so prim and proper that I'm like it just lulled me. It was like a lullaby. It was like a nursery rhyme. That being said, when we were texting about the Shang-Chi trailer.
I don't think we need to bring this up.
Oh, no, we absolutely do. We were all very excited, and John wrote, "Hey, good stuff." And then like an hour later, I open Twitter and see the announcement for Downton Abbey 2, and John, all in caps, multiple exclamation points, yes!
Okay.
Please go ahead.
I said good stuff to the Olivia Colman news, not to the Shang-Chi stuff. But whatever. Go ahead. Yes, please.
I just love how excited you get.
Yes.
About the tea and biscuits set. Like you are like Ted Lasso, Downton Abbey. That's what I'm talking about today. And I'm like, okay, cool. By the way, I loved Downton Abbey for the first like 2-3 seasons, and then I kind of just fell off. So I never saw the movie because I felt like I'm like I don't want to go watch the movie and be confused, and so I feel like I have to go back and watch stuff to watch this. So maybe now's my opportunity to get caught up because I loved it. I just sort of fell off at some point when certain characters kicked the bucket. I said, I'm out.
Yeah, I understand. I hear you. And certainly it was a bit of a transition when all that happened, but Lily James comes in and becomes more of a central figure in those later seasons.
And I do love Lily James, so it's a good reason.
And in the movie, there is one of the butlers who is coming out as gay, and what that was like in that time, and what happens to him as he tries to navigate that in that time, in that world. So there is a lot of that to the movie. There's a very a strong storyline through the movie. So I think that's a great point.
You just threw me Lily James in a coming out story. I can't say no to that. Guess I'm on board. Bring it on. I'm excited. The Downton Abbey extended universe, here we come. Multiverse City. Let's do it.
Let's make it happen. All right. And it's coming out later on this year. And, they released a nice statement. I want to read it real quick. After a very challenging year with so many of us separated from family and friends, it is a huge comfort to think that better times are ahead and that next Christmas, we will be reunited with the much beloved characters of Downton Abbey. And I couldn't agree more. So we shall see what happens. Coming out December 22nd. It says 2021. I want to believe them, but we shall see. We shall see.
Boy, you're excited. Boy, you're excited.
I'm an Anglophile. What can I tell you? All right, let's jump into our main topic, and we're gonna take a quick break right after this.
If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. Don't
God!
See that he wanted. If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on.
No.
Yeah,
this is wrong.
You know what? You don't own Sasha Fierce, aka Beyonce. We're all in the beehive. Anyway. Shannon, I think you should take us through this one. What do we got as our main topic, brother?
Oh my gosh! So we just the trailer, our first look at Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. There he is, Simu Liu, playing the master of kung fu, Shang-Chi himself. Yeah, we got this trailer just a couple of days ago, and what was awesome is that Simu Liu actually tweeted out, or I don't know if he tweeted or if it was on his Instagram, but he put out the one sheet saying, "Hey, check it out." And because it was actually his birthday, Marvel then tweeted out and released the trailer. And I mean, this is the first time we've gotten a new Marvel trailer for a feature in a very, very long time. Like, we've gotten 3 Black Widow trailers, but this next the Phase 4, we didn't really know what it was going to look like. We've seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, we've seen WandaVision. So how exciting to get just this glimpse into where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is heading. The trailer comes in at like just over 2 minutes, I believe. We're getting a glimpse into basically what the origin of Shang-Chi is going to be. And it seems, I mean, this was just so awesome to wake up to the other day. And, normally when a trailer comes out, I want to sit in front of my television and watch it. But this one, I watched in bed on my phone. And this one got batted around a little bit. Originally, it was going to come out in February. Then it was May. And then ultimately, they have settled on September 3rd. It is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. Also stars Awkwafina, Tony Leung, Florian. Is it Munto? Is that how you say his name? Florian Munto? Montanaro. Florian Montanaro from Creed 2.
Yeah.
This first look, I mean, just really, really got me excited. I mean, I love the shot of the red sports car coming up and being conditioned with Marvel and being conditioned with Tony Stark. We're used to seeing the hero step out, and then you see this dude step out and throw keys to Shang-Chi. I am just rambling right now because of how much I really, really enjoyed the trailer. But gentlemen, what did you all think?
Mikey?
I was over the moon for it. I was really excited to see just kind of the general reaction on social media to the trailer too, because, this is a brand new hero to most people. I mean, Shang-Chi has been in the Marvel Universe since the 1970s, but he's definitely not someone who most people are aware of. He doesn't have superpowers. He's like the master of Kung Fu. He doesn't have an iron suit, and so like as much as we're all excited about WandaVision and Scarlet and what's going on with Falcon and Winter Soldier and how on Disney Plus they're taking everything that we know of from the past 10 years of the cinematic universe and kind of moving these characters forward, and we love to like talk about all that. I loved seeing a brand new entry into the cinematic universe from a completely different angle than what you would expect it to expect, a different way that you would expect them to go, and just generally see people be so excited for it. And I think it's because it's such a great, stylish trailer. I think that the fact that it is an almost entirely Asian cast, Asian director, from an Asian team, like an Asian creative team, you really feel like it has an authenticity to the storytelling. It doesn't feel like they're trying to tell some Americanized kung fu story. They're telling a story that they really want to tell. And even a lot of the choices they've made in Tony Leung's character as the Mandarin and the way that they're kind of changing the Mandarin storyline, you can tell that they're really trying to take some of the things in the Marvel universe from the comic books that maybe were a little bit not as well thought out when they were first happening in comics and kind of take them back and own them. And I think that's really cool. The other part that I think is cool from a super Marvel nerd standpoint is that from a Legend of the Ten Rings standpoint is that the Ten Rings, as much as I said that like Shang-Chi is brand new to the Marvel universe, the Ten Rings go back all the way to Iron Man. Yeah. It was the Ten Rings who Obadiah Stane hired to deal with Tony Stark. It was we saw the Ten Rings then. We've seen the Ten Rings on tattoos in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Obviously, Iron Man 3 with Ben Kingsley's character deals with both the Mandarin and the Ten Rings. So I think that on the one hand, it's a brand new direction for Marvel, and at the same time, it's something they've been planning from their very first movie, which I think is so interesting. And I'm kind of really jazzed to see where all that goes. Also, I really like that they were singing A Whole New World at karaoke. Simu Liu and Awkwafina were singing A Whole New World, which they should because it's a great karaoke song.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen the trailer, I think 6 or 7 times now. Just absolutely jazzed for it. Love it. I think, Shannon, you're absolutely right. The fact that they present this guy as an underdog, we hear the voiceover saying, I let you be for 10, I let you live your life for 10 years. We see him being trained as a young kid. Those of you who know about the Shang-Chi story, we're all getting to learn it more, Googling, watching breakdown videos, watching history of it in the comics. And Michael's right. From the 70s, born out of people's love of martial arts movies, love of the kung fu cinema, love of all that was coming over to America. This was something that they created, much like Black Panther, to kind of rival what was happening in the civil rights movement. Let's create a very strong black hero that people can follow in these communities and get a little more knowledge about these cultures. So you see it happening here with Shang-Chi as well. But they've changed the story in ways that are very, very interesting. For example, they've completely gotten rid of the Fu Manchu character, the troublesome character in the comics, who is normally Shang-Chi's dad in some of the tellings of his origin story, and kind of melded him in to Wen Wu, which is what Tony Leung is playing, aka the Mandarin, aka numerous other names. How is that going to play out? There's shots with him and his sister fighting in some form of a tournament. Razor Fist is in there fighting him on the bus. We see Death Dealer with the awesome face mask. And as the outlaw, I love face masks. He was kicking ass. It's kicking ass. I don't know if that's male or female, but it's kicking ass. So much of it throughout is a lot of fun to see. And I think this character turning down being with his father, the elemental stuff with the water, all of that, the House of Flying Daggers, quick scene fight in the forest, the massive beasts that are running with the monks, the fact that you've got shot what looks like a battle from hundreds of years ago or centuries ago being a part of this. So this is going to be a very massive story brought into a little bit of a singular focus by the main character. And I think that's going to be exciting. Plus you throw in Awkwafina, who is brilliant and funny and killed it on Raya and the Last Dragon. And of course, The Farewell, her dramatic side as well. This is a lot of great disparate elements coming together, and I like what we've gotten off the trailer so far. I look forward to more, for sure. You say
yeah. No, I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, obviously, as you were saying, in the original comics, Shang-Chi was the son of Fu Manchu. Mm-hmm. Probably best that we put that behind us.
Very best.
And now Wen Wu / the Mandarin. And even in the comics now, his father is, I think, Zhengzhou is his father in the comics now. And the one thing that's been consistent, as much as his origin has been changed, and one thing you see in this trailer, as much as they're changing things around, is that his father always very much wants him to take on his role in kind of the family business, and he very much does not. And so even in this trailer where Tony Leung is going to be, you're going to join me, I gave you your 10 years to go do what you want to do, now come and do this. And he's like, that's not going to happen. That's very much in keeping with Shang-Chi, even as the other story elements kind of get moved around and changed. And I think that's something Marvel does really well, which is changing the story to suit the cinematic universe, suit modern times, suit those things, but still kind of getting to the heart of who the character is. And I think that's what was really cool. If you have read Shang-Chi or are familiar with him in the comics, that even though the details have changed a little bit, that he still feels very, very much like the character. And as John said, obviously we're going to see a lot. It looks like we're going to see a lot of stuff from ancient China. It looks like Tony Leung's version of the Mandarin has been around for a very long time. Yeah. I think that's going to probably play into a part of the story. And then you had said something, Johnny, when we were texting about it, about this movie taking place pre-blip, post-blip. How does this movie tie into what we know of the Marvel Universe timeline as far as the blip and everything? Do you know?
Yeah, well, that's what I've been reading here, that this thing, because obviously if we're seeing him as a kid and then we're seeing him through these 10 years and now it's getting gold, clearly this is going to happen pre-blip, during the blip, and post-blip. So what is that going to entail? We see the bracelets have the blue light on them. Is that a Tesseract connected thing? I don't know. Oh, how are they making these? How are they making? Is it the person who wears the bracelets that it gets superhuman power? I don't know. Kind of like Black Panther wearing the suit gives you an extra level of power. Revisiting these MCU movies with Lindley, as I've been doing every Saturday on our show on Stereo, it's been really interesting to see it through her point of view and how aware she is of the father-son story beats in almost every story. And here we go again with father-son story beats, and the idea of super soldier, a super soldier serum, or enhancing a human being to fight. And here we go with these things. And also they've got the necklace on it. And is the necklace reflective of the beads in Black Panther? There's so much here that can be correlative and connective to the overall MCU tissue many tissues that connect.
And both Shang-Chi and his sister have matching necklaces in the trailer.
Right. What's that all about? Which side are they gonna be against each other? Is she taking? Some people have speculated she might take over for her father if Wen Wu gets bested by the end of the movie and possibly killed. Does she take over now, becoming a female Mandarin, which would be very interesting, or female Wen Wu, and takes over? And then you build in this kind of family battle between good and evil here in this situation. So a lot of places to go.
That fighting pit, I mean,
that
certainly kind of looked like Madripoor to me.
Oh,
so
right. That's
I
possible,
mean,
too.
it would be very interesting, if they go back there. Something else that I thought was really cool with the 10 rings, because normally the rings are worn on your fingers. I'm assuming those bracelets are. I'm assuming those are the 10 rings, and then I was reading
5 on each side. Yeah.
I was reading something, and this is not something like this is somebody else pointed this out, that originally the Mandarin took the 10 rings from Fin Fang Foom, the dragon.
Right.
And so they would be on those rings would maybe fit on a dragon, not so much on a person.
And Fin Fang Foom is confirmed, right?
Yes,
Is
people are
that confirmed?
saying that Fin Fang Foom will be in this movie. I've seen it on a number of sites speculating, and there might have been a hint of Fin Fang Foom. And some people speculate that it might be Awkwafina who becomes Fin Fang Foom. And I'm like, we're not going to go the dragon route again with Awkwafina, are we? But who knows? Who knows? There's possibilities all over the place.
She will be known from this day forward as Sisu Fan Foom.
All right. Another thing that someone pointed out, I was looking at Screen Rant's breakdown of the trailer, and I wanted to bring this up to you guys. Apparently, actor-comedian Zach Cherry is on the bus when Shang-Chi is fighting.
Yes.
He is the one who played the street vendor who commanded Spider-Man to do a flip for him in Spider-Man Homecoming. So what does that mean? What is the connection here?
He moved. Street vending is very big in San Francisco.
By the way, and it's so funny, like when somebody pointed that out, and I will stand up and applaud in the theater, because you're right, in Homecoming, he's the vendor, and he's like, you're not Spider-Man, do a flip. And Spider-Man does a flip, and he's like, hey! Like, he's like, you're not Shang-Chi on that bus. Like, I will lose it. What another thing that you brought up, Johnny, when we were texting about it, which I thought was interesting, is because the 10 Rings is obviously a criminal organization, and we don't know if Shang-Chi is around during the blip, not during the blip. Again, we'll get some timelines on this.
Sure.
But we do get in Avengers Endgame, we see Ronan, Hawkeye, dealing with a lot of the criminal underworld. Mm-hmm. And is that going to be a piece? Is there going to be any pieces there? Is there going to be any tie-ins there? It might be interesting as well. So I'm really curious to see how this new piece of the Marvel Universe ties into everything else. And it doesn't even have to. I mean, one of the things that I love so much about Black Panther is that even though Black Panther kind of comes right off of Civil War, it is very standalone in that there's enough to deal with what's going on in Wakanda that it doesn't need to tie into what's going on with the Avengers and what's going on with the Sokovia Accords and what's going on with everything else, because Wakanda is enough. There's enough goodness in Wakanda to keep us entertained for several movies without even tying into stuff. And I do think Shang-Chi's a little bit the same, that I don't think that they need to give us a Ronin connection and a Avengers connection and a this and a that, because it seems like they're establishing an entire history and universe for us to dive into. So it could be great if they don't necessarily do all that, but I am curious if they do, where things might sync up.
Yeah. And are we going to see the return of Trevor Slattery? Are we going to find out what happened to him when Scoot McNairy took him from All Hail the King? Is that the name?
All Hail the King.
All Hail the King. Then we find out, does Trevor Slattery make an appearance in front of Win Wu and get some comeuppance for stealing his name?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that we will. I have a feeling we will see Ben Kingsley at the beginning of this movie. Mm-hmm. I think it. It's easy, great storytelling, but it would be like, since we know that Ben Kingsley played the fake Mandarin in Iron Man 3, and in that Marvel one-shot, we know he was taken by the 10 Rings.
Yeah.
To see him have to come before the actual Mandarin would just be a super cool way to sort of, bring us into this world. So I would not be surprised if we saw a scene like that in the movie.
Also, he seems to always escape. He seems to, for a regular dude, he's incredibly elusive. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he was in that prison and he immediately had this massive bodyguard, it just seems so interesting that Trevor Slattery is able to get into these positions and survive constantly. So you wonder if maybe there's way more here than we think, and Feige's way of retconning will somehow be still respectful to what Kingsley did with Trevor Slattery, but maybe even maybe bring a comeuppance, or this person has basically stood in for the Mandarin because he used him as a prop to stand in for him because he wanted to hide behind him and not need to have any attention brought on him while he was doing the things he was doing. So there's a lot of possibilities. Either way, the fact that we don't have Aldrich Killian to deal with anymore, I think that's the positive out of that movie. And you can still play more with what Ben Kingsley brings to it. I'm curious because, I mean, this is an accomplished Oscar-winning actor. You want to give him his just due. You don't want to bitch slap him out of the MCU. So I wonder how they're going to make that work overall. You want to respect what he was able to do. Plus, Shannon said, like, All Hail the King is his favorite one. So maybe a lot of people feel this way about that Marvel one.
So funny. So funny. The fact that we got Ben Kingsley to do a short.
Yeah.
I mean, and along with this sort of, fantastic world building that we're getting, the corners of the Marvel universe that are starting to be explored.
Yeah.
Simu Liu looks awesome kicking ass. I mean, that shot of him popping those dudes and then doing that split kick.
Dude, the split kick.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's been so long since we've seen, at least in the U.S., a martial arts film of this caliber. I mean, I know, you get those in Hong Kong, you get those in China. I mean, but just watching him, the fight choreography, I think there's going to be a lot of kids leaping off the couch. Off the arms of the couch after this.
There already are. I mean, that's what's kind of so awesome is that I've already seen on Twitter parents posting videos of their kids who are literally just watching the 2-minute trailer on repeat. Like they're just watching it over and over and over. Yeah. And again, it's like what happened when Black Panther came out. It's like what happened when Into the Spider-Verse came out. It's great to see that representation really works. I mean, for all of the, I think when you spend way too much time on Twitter and you see everyone complaining about SJW this and woke this and blah, 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 blah. And it's easy to fall into this like, oh, the world is so cynical. But the reality is like these movies with awesome, amazing characters who come in every shape, gender, and color are all awesome. And if you tell a great story with great characters, people will all jump on board. And I think that was my feeling watching this trailer is like, I'm already completely on board with this part of the Marvel universe. And I can't wait for it. I mean, obviously we're all excited for Fantastic Four. We're all excited for X-Men whenever X-Men happens. And we know that Marvel will probably do justice to some of the characters that didn't get justice done in the Fox franchises. But seeing this new stuff is really, really, really awesome too. And I'm kind of just super stoked that they decided to go down that road.
Yeah. And they're proving good to their word, right? Tessa Thompson said that she will let people know like Feige and Marvel had listened and Disney had listened, and they're going to be way more diverse going into this new phase. And certainly we're seeing at all levels how diverse they're being in their approach to casting and in their approach to the stories they want to tell. And that's a positive. That's a positive overall. All right. Anything else on the trailer? Or are we good? Shall we move on?
They made Razor Fist look cool.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did, which is not easy to do.
Yeah,
I think keep him out of the light blue onesie helped. But
I was going to say that the wrestling singlet is not that flattering.
The best is like some versions of him in the comics have just the one Razor Fist. He has one arm that's like a blade, but some of them he's like double bladed, like both hands. And I was like, I have questions.
How do you pee in that?
That's basically, yeah.
Also, do we think the 10 Rings will grow to be a bigger part of the MCU now going forward into this phase? I know everyone's wondering who's the next Thanos, right? Could it be more Earth-based? Could it be the 10 Rings? I know we've got Kang the Conqueror coming and what have you, but could it be 10 Rings that has way more to say overall about what is happening here in the Marvel Universe as we go into Phase 4?
I mean, they've laid the groundwork for them way back when, and then the Infinity Stones kind of took over. I don't think they would introduce it in this movie just to close it off.
Right.
I feel like, and somebody pointed this out it was like a meme or something that I saw, but Vision has that really great speech in Civil War about escalation. That that from Tony Stark appearing to then the number of superhuman events and the Ultrons and the this and the that, and that's what happens in a superhero universe because we add more characters and we need more big third act action sequences. But with coming out of Infinity War, right off the bat, Wanda just leveled her powers up immensely, and she was already basically strong enough to take out Thanos on her own practically. And now we're introducing Shang-Chi and these 10 rings, and he's going to have this epic like kung fu mastery power. And we've got the Eternals coming, and it's like we're introducing a bunch of characters that all are Thanos kick-ass level characters. And so I don't know that the 10 rings are going to kind of become the new Infinity Stones per se, but I do think introducing something of this power set into the universe, like we're gearing up for, we need heroes who are able to do more, even more than what the heroes that we've had thus far did.
Yeah.
That if we're going to level up and have someone bigger than Thanos come in, whether that be Galactus or whether that be, like there's some big things that could happen in the Marvel Universe that we're going to need heroes that are so powerful that you can't even wrap your heads around it. And I think the 10 rings probably represent something in that realm.
Yeah. All right. I like it. Either way, it looks exciting, and it's coming around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. September 3rd, 2021. It is coming out this year in just a few months. So, remember when we had a dearth of entertainment last year, and now it's like, is it April? It's May. It's almost May. It's crazy how fast the year is going. Yeah.
I think we talked about it like way back when we were like, what the fuck are we going to talk about this week? There's nothing going on. We're all in a pandemic. And I think in one of those episodes where we were talking about whatever we were talking about, we said, it's going to be great. It sucks right now, but it's going to be great because all of these things that are getting delayed and pushed and put on hold, they're all going to come back at some point, and we're just going to have tons of entertainment. And we are now like, it's like we're cresting that wave. There's a lot that Mortal Kombat is this weekend. The first 7 minutes are online right now. There's just stuff that's coming. And like with the Marvel universe, like once we hit Black Widow, we are on just like the Marvel train, and it is toot toot motherfuckers. We have left the station.
Yep. And I've gotten a link for Mortal Kombat. I'll be watching it in the morning tomorrow and dropping my review as soon as I'm allowed to for the embargo. So I'm looking forward to it. And of course, we'll have a Geek Buddies review of it as well, I'm sure. All right. I think that's it, Shannon. Oh, thanks so much. All of you, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Geek Buddies. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's @geek_buddies, on Instagram, @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's @Shannon_McClung, on Instagram, @Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you would like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is @MK2, and if you would like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is @TheRochaSys.
Mikey?
If you like shape-shifting aliens and kung fu masters like Shannon and I do, or if you like tea and biscuits like Rocha does, there's plenty for you here at the Geek Buddies.
We all like those things, by the way.
And no matter what you like, we are glad that you are here with us. Here are some things that you can do so that we can keep these lovely conversations about all parts of the entertainment industry going. You can hit the like button below. You can subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page and check out all of his content. And you can leave a comment below. What do you think is going to happen in Secret Invasion? What was your favorite part of the Shang-Chi trailer? How do you think it ties into the rest of the Marvel Universe? What do you think is up with the 10 rings? Let us know. Let's have a conversation about it. If you are listening to us right now on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are available, you can leave us some comments there. You can leave us some stars in the rankings so that we go up so that more people can find us. And as always, the best thing that you guys can do is retweet this video, share this video, post this video on Facebook, send it to your friends. We've had so many people who have been super, super nice. And not only are you super kind in saying that you enjoy listening to the show, but you also tell us how you recommend it to your friends and get other people hooked on the Geek Buddies. And we very much appreciate it. So thank you so much for doing that. And please continue. And that is what I have to tell you this week.
There you go. Great stuff. Don't forget, Falcon and Winter Soldier finale. Also this weekend, we will announce the time and the dates that we'll be doing that review live, hopefully, for you all to come in and join us and share your thoughts about that whole season of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And if you're catching up on Falcon and Winter Soldier, please go back and watch all our reviews that we dropped with our guest, Mike Kalinowski, throughout the whole season of that. And remember, Bad Batch is coming. Laura Kelly coming back for that. And Emma Fyffe joining us for Loki once that drops. And they already teased that Loki season 2 is on its way as well. It might be coming soon as well. So a lot to get into, a lot to keep us going for the next few years for sure. All right, we're out of here. Much love to all of you. Take care of yourselves. Hope you all are getting vaccinated. Remember to wear your mask and keep your social distancing. And we'll see you next week for another brand new episode of the
Geek
Buddies!